Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Philosophical Weightlifting Podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Gibson, and I'm joined today by the man, the myth, the legend, Sergei Putsoff. Sergei, how are you?
Thank you for myth and legend. I'm still alive and I'm happy to be here. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, and before we start this episode, I did want to mention the Power and Strength Summit, which is an online speaking conference that I will be holding. It is basically a continuation of Coaches Only. I've gotten Seb's approval to continue that bloodline, and that will be August 2nd and 3rd. We're going to have a stellar lineup of expert speakers on strength and power performance, specifically strength and conditioning and weightlifting. And we're going to talk everything from building an elite, successful business to how to incorporate plyometrics into your athletes' training. We're going to talk hypertrophy, training for hypertrophy, training for maximal strength, training for power development. And then we're going to bridge that all together with how do you marry the world of weightlifting with the world of strength and conditioning? How do you take your prowess as a weightlifting coach or strength and conditioning coach and translate that to other domains? I'm more than excited to host it, and if you are interested, there's a link in the description below. You can go there to sign up. Sergei, I haven't seen you in a really long time. I haven't actually spoken to you in a very, very long time either, but one of the most interesting turn of events is you commentating with the Seb Ostrovich and Weightlifting House recently at Asian Champs.
Yeah, it was a good stuff from perspective of experience of talking in English, speaking in English, and also waking up very early because China was 7 hours ahead. So we started our first session at 4 and 5 a.m. every day. And the good stuff was that we were actually free a bit later than noon. But as I said, woke up earlier. And by the end of the week, when Seb picked up me from hotel, we already like, okay, let's do it. And it was from the last effort, but actually a lot of fun and a lot of insights from this competition.
Yeah, and you actually traveled to the Weightlifting House headquarters, and you were commentating in person with Seb, and Dan Kent was there as well. Funny enough, Weightlifting House is a sponsor of the podcast. If you use code PhilWL at Weightlifting House at checkout, you can save, tons of money on every product. And you were there. You were at the Weightlifting House headquarters. What was that travel like for you? What was the trip like? Have you ever been to like London and to where they're located?
They located nearby Birmingham, and it was my first ever trip to United Kingdom. Before, I didn't have like a chance or reason to travel, but I liked it very much. I saw Birmingham, I saw Weightlifting House office headquarters, and it was a lot of fun. Also, I met few of my friends in London, and I would say that it was a really amazing experience because month before Asian, we did commentating of Europeans, but it was online. And I would say from my personal experience that when you sit side by side and you can exchange emotion, we can see each eyes, understand each other's eyes, understand how to make this flow more exciting. Sitting together is way more beneficial and way more cooler from the perspective of the commentating results you deliver.
Yeah, and I know you did an excellent job. You're a wealth of information when it comes to weightlifting, from coaching to competing to, the culture of the sport and the people participating. What was your experience of Asians like? What was it like for you watching that competition? What was your experience of it, when you think about how weightlifting has kind of changed over the last, handful of years?
I will go step by step, and maybe you will ask me additional questions just to make it more comfortable for the audience. I would say that competition were organized very well. The warm-up area was built more in classical style, not in the modern when everybody has its separate room. So all platforms were like in the training era. Filming was good. We were happy that actually at the last Europeans and Asians as well, production team heard us
Mm.
really in the live when we said production team, please don't show us every time who grip, we don't need that, but if you have a chance, show us 45 degrees repeat, and then it happens in a moment, and we said, oh, they can hear us, and we say, production team, we love you so much. And it was very nice because they put camera in the platform, and it was, as we assumed, was the most expensive camera and most useless
Mm.
because it was all the time dirty with the chalk. It gave disgusting picture because no one see the athlete balls or some kind of this pictures, and most of the time in between sessions probably people didn't see, it was staff who repaired it because it didn't work for some reason. Probably when the bar dropped, some mechanisms were collapsed. So, but all other signals and quality of the picture were very good, and I would say that we had good communication. This is what I would say from the perspective of the quality of the signal. Few times it was internet disconnection, but it was only a few times, so not a big deal. This is if we say about the organization of the competition. If we will speak about the athletes, it was a pleasure to see a lot of new names and a lot of new countries. For example, like Singapore team, they weren't strong, but it was full house of female and male team, and we spoke that we are proud that some countries with uh, such a small population, they also develop Olympic weightlifting. So a lot of new names, and even strong countries such as China, they brought maybe 80% of new squad. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, and I believe that all these new people, they will be in the best shape closer to Los Angeles because
Mm.
most of them like 19, 21. So in 4 years, it will be a lot of new strong names.
Yeah, so it sounds like weightlifting's at a point where it's kind of recalibrating or trying to like gain more speed, gain more momentum as the Olympics starts to get closer and closer and closer. So new
Yeah.
faces are coming out, new teams are coming out.
It's a natural process because, as we know, after each Olympics, some big names they said, "I quit. It's fine for me." And in the same time, we have new spots for new names, and they jump in because they want to lift. Someone became older, and someone grows up, and I think it will be a lot of fun because Uzbekistan team, Korea, China. Uh, Even we were amazed that even United Arabic Emirates, a guy in I believe in 109 or 102, 109, he won medal in clean and jerk.
Wow.
Yeah, so a lot of new people. India as well, because by the way, speaking about the India, Seb said to me like, "Oh, India, do they have Olympic weightlifting?" In general, I said, come on. Leonid Taranenko was the chief coach of national team of India
Wow.
maybe 15 years ago or 20, and he didn't know that. And this is how we jump from the actual competition of the history and discuss this a lot. So
Yeah, and I mean and when I open the show, you're someone who really does understand the history of the sport, how to coach it, how to prepare for it, how to compete in it. What's your take or what's your perspective on where weightlifting is right now as compared to, even thinking for me where it was, say, in 2020, 2021. So not the last Olympics, but the one prior, and then kind of thinking back to 2016 and 2012, it seems like so much has changed with the way the sport's presented, the personalities in the sport, the way people even watch it and appreciate it. But I mean, it's a big question, but what is your take on where weightlifting is as a sport?
I like, from what I see, I like that we have more amateur weightlifting in general in the world, and I think this is good if we speak about the development of sport for nations, for the world. Because if we will take the example of soccer, like football, good development of sports, it's when the kids can play soccer in every neighborhood. They have a ball, they know rules, they have a goalkeeper, let's play. And I believe it's very nice when we will have the same with Olympic weightlifting, because I'm happy. I live now in Poland, and I'm happy that mostly in every fitness club there are few platforms.
Mhm.
And when I am as a weightlifter do my training, I'm happy that I can see nearby people who do snatch. It's okay that it's 45 kilos,
Yeah.
50, it's okay, but people know what is this, and they don't do just a deadlift. And I believe that starting from 2011 12, weightlifting, the growth of Olympic weightlifting was very high in United States.
Uh,
But afterwards, countries such as Brazil, such as Europe, started to develop weightlifting not as a only elite sport, but also as a part of normal fitness routine. So when you go to the regular fitness club, you have yoga, you have Pilates, you have gym, you have Olympic weightlifting, and I'm happy about this. And so, yeah,
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. And when you mention that, I know people have talked about. I've had episodes of the podcast where we've talked about having weightlifting in, call it like a high school as a sport. But I think even bigger than having it as a high school sport is having it as part of like a physical education curriculum.
yeah,
Because, for people who aren't familiar, my experience with physical education when I was younger wasn't the best. But ideally, they would teach you all of these sports, how to play them, the rules. You'd have a module on it. So imagine having, say a football, like a soccer, American football, volleyball. You have those units in physical education.
yeah.
You have a weightlifting unit where it's snatch and clean and jerk. It's not like fitness, it's actually weightlifting. And I think that would be a big change too. And that would help make the exposure more natural and it feel like, oh, this is just like a sport that people do in countries around the world.
Yeah, because I believe that there were a lot of myths in ordinary society that you do weightlifting, you will not grow, you will break your backbone and blah blah blah. But I'm happy that there are personality like Mr. Sean Waxman who do in his classes Olympic weightlifting, and he shows that. And I like his post when he said like, you say that it's impossible to educate like 30 kids to do snatch. Look at my video, and people do overhead squats. No one asked them to do 200 kilo snatch, but they do it like for general coordination, mobility, and all that stuff.
Yeah, I
This
think
is that I like so much.
no, and I think an important point because I mentioned to you, I'm a strength coach at a high school, and I work with a lot of kids, call it a few hundred maybe. Um, and we've done snatching, we've done hang snatching and we've done snatches from the power position. Do cleans from all positions. I had a group of middle school, so like 13-year-old football players. And, once they get into high school, the training changes a little bit because they test in the squat, the bench, and the clean.
Mhm.
But I taught them how to jerk. So that was one of the best groups of, split jerks I've seen, is teaching these 13-year-olds, basic progressions of strict press, push press, power jerk, split jerk, and just coaching them with an empty barbell. And I think an important point is teaching the movements kind of as, physical education would, which is like, hey, here's a skill you can then take with you if you decide to do this, but also for coordination, we call it like flexibility, but just like being able to get into those deep ranges of motion, the different positions. Like that's all critical stuff. And one of the mindsets you kind of have to shift away from, in my experience, is the weight on the bar, because everyone wants it to be a competition about like how much you snatch, how much you clean, how much you jerk. And when you're dealing with bigger populations in different settings, it's more so, can you do it well? Can you do it efficiently? Can you do it the same way time after time? Can you do it safely? If you can check those boxes, the weight for the people who take to it and are really talented will matter. And for everyone else, it's like, let's do some cleans, let's make them look good, let's work on some small technical stuff. But it's not really about like can we get to 200 kilos? That's not the big question.
I have a question for you. Speaking about your kids, what exercise is most favorite in Olympic weightlifting? What they prefer most?
Oh, I would
What they
say,
hate most?
I would say, um, I'd say the ones that kids kind of take to, and it seems like they have the most fun doing, to be honest, looks like the split jerk. You know, and I think a lot of that is like you pull it from the rack, you have to coordinate the split, get the bar into a strong position overhead, and cleans almost feel more like a squat. It's like, oh, pull the bar out, just try to jump and rack it. Split jerks feel really different, like really new for all like high school kids who haven't really done much like lifting before. Snatches are tough, and a lot of that's just because in a big group, getting everyone prepared to receive the bar overhead, and when they're really young or really like untrained, 20 kilos is heavy. Like
Oh,
a lot of
yes.
those kids just can't physically pull it up. They can't turn it over. They can't support it overhead. So that takes a little bit more developmental time. Whereas a push press you can get into almost right away. A strict press, power jerks, all that stuff. It's pretty easy to transition into that.
That's cool. That's cool. I remember when I was in the age of 13 and my first coach taught me Olympic weightlifting. He enforces all of us, like young kids, to do split jerk for both legs.
Okay, yeah,
So when I say that, I remember that for me, split jerk from racks was for 2 reps or for 4 reps,
yeah,
never for single, because he asked to do this all the
yeah,
time.
yeah. I like
And
that.
yeah, and only later, when I tell the story, when people ask what leg should be dominant, and I
Mm.
tell the story, and I said every time when coach said like, okay, now you can put more and do for 1 rep, and I said, coach, what leg should I use as a dominant? He said, you choose. And
So
this,
yeah, what was your experience like? And now we kind of talked about weightlifting, talking about getting it to like more general population, kind of to the masses. What was your experience like coming up in a school system where you were learning the weightlifting movements or doing some form of physical education that honestly is probably very different from the US?
my experience was interesting because since 7 years old I played tennis, but because I lived in a district, like let's say not the best, for me it was the biggest fear that bad boys will come to me and will say we will steal your tennis racket. And that is why when I was 14 and I understood that tennis doesn't help with my life, I asked my father to take me to the gym. And luckily, he brought me just to the gym in our sport university, but the gym was in the same area that weightlifting platforms. So I did legs extension, biceps, and I don't know, pull-ups, something like this. It was my perfect program. And then coach, who was here on duty, and by the coincidence, he was Olympic weightlifting coach. He started to talk to me like, "Do you want to do Olympic weightlifting?" I said, "No, no, no." And I said, all stupid myth that exist. I said that I will not grow because I have a girl in the school who was taller than me, and I was in love with her. And my only dream in the universe was to be the same height like she, to ask for invite her to dance. And I said, no, 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 not never Olympic weightlifting. It's boring, unclear. So coach was wise enough, and he said, okay, no weightlifting. But imagine if your mother will help you to carry bags or like help. So I will teach you how to hold your back. I will teach you like, and he also said, I will teach you how to put your girlfriend on the shoulder if she need or hang. And this is what we will do. And this was my education. I remember that we learned overhead squats, back squats, and some Romanian deadlifts for the first few sessions. And then step by step, I just jumped into Olympic weightlifting because the toughest for me was power position like everyone. And then like maybe and I did those elementary weightlifting and bodybuilding that I like. But then step by step, coach said me, next week brought me notebook. I will put you a plan. And in the end, of course, it was biceps, but first 3 exercises was the right one. And this is how I became addicted.
Yeah. So maybe you could detail a little bit once you got that plan.
Mhm.
I think a lot of in strength and conditioning and in weightlifting, I was actually thinking about this too, that idea of long-term athlete development. If you haven't worked with someone who is young and you haven't seen them through, 5 to 10 years of training, you don't really know what that process looks like, because if you work with someone for a year, you can kind of put all of your resources into, okay, let's see how good you can be in a year. But if you say, okay, we have 10 years and everything we do year one or year two or year three will have an impact later down the line. Um, what was that process like when you started? What did your training look like? Do you remember how you felt,
Of
when
course.
you actually carried it out?
Of course, I remember. So my advantage was that I was doing sports since I was a child, actually, because I believe I did swimming since I was 3 or 4 till school, and since I started school at 7, I played tennis. So I had a good, let's say, coordinational background and movement background. I knew how to, and because my father was coach, but he never pushed me into Olympic weightlifting. But I knew already at the age of 14, 15 how to do proper squats on the
Mm,
full foot, how to arch my back, how to do pull ups, push ups. But very often, parents can bring kids to Olympic weightlifting when they can do anything.
yeah.
And let's look at this classic approach. And in as it was in the era when I started, and pretty much the same. Usually, the goal of the first year of training, if the coach is smart enough, is to make kids love to come to the gym.
Mm,
My opinion, this is the main goal. No reason what you are doing here. You must develop in the kids habit that this is your place of strength, where you will be accepted, where everybody will say you hello, and wherever goes bad, you should and come here, and you will feel good. And this is what good coaches do. Usually, it looks like some drills with the people. I have few coaches in Ukraine that work with the initial training, and usually it looks like this. They do some specific drills with the PVC, overhead squats, muscle snatches, front squats when it's kids 9, 11 years old. Then they do calisthenic training,
mm,
push-ups, pull-ups, crunches, side planks, variation of crawling, and usually this can take about 35, 45 minutes, and then they have 30 minutes of soccer or basketball. And when people ask me like, what is the secret program for the young kids, I said that, in my opinion, first 6, 8 months it must be PVC, GPP training, and games.
yeah.
So you must feel pleasure to be in that place. And what kids like, they like to play. So this is the secret of initial approach.
Yeah.
And then, of course, weightlifting, and then hard work.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I like that idea of, having kids excited to be in the weight room, and not, maybe not all kids will fall in love with it, maybe at least not initially, but
Of course,
I love that idea of helping them feel really empowered and really successful. And
because
also,
I will tell you, because usually when coaches start to go to the normal school and invite kids, normal practice that in September when school starts, he can invite like 50 kids. Closer to the Christmas, it will be only 10. It's normal process. But what can happen very often that he will come here in 12 years old. He will say like, oh, I don't like weightlifting, boring stuff, I don't need it. But when he will turns 15, and when he will start to think as a teenager, and when he said like, oh, maybe I need to gain some muscles, first thing that he will remember, this coach and this place. And
mm,
it's so common when kids first quit, and then in year 2 they come back,
mm,
because you come not to the walls, you come to the people. And when
yeah,
you know that there is a coach, Alex or Josh or Sergei, wherever, and you had a good relationship, good first contact, he will remember it here and keep here.
yeah, no, that's really wise. That's really wise. And I know we were going to talk about Asian champs, so we got a little bit off topic talking about weightlifting for the masses and a little bit of youth development. But what was your so we talked a little bit about how weightlifting has changed, maybe what it was like and how what people can expect in the future. After watching that competition, after commentating it,
Mhm.
what do you think the LA Games is going to look like? I mean, you mentioned the number of new faces, the number of new people competing. How do you think they are going to stack up to, the people we have watched for the last 2, 3 Olympic Games who may be hanging up their shoes?
First of all, I believe that because, unfortunately, we still decreasing amount of spots on the Olympics, the selection process will be crazy. The second one, I believe that because starting from June 1, we have already new weight classes, and it will be less than 3 years to new Olympic, we will have like a reign of world records because people will start to renew them, and it will be very interesting. Just in case we discuss with Seb, for example, they put back 94 weight class, and we discuss why it will be new world records.
Yeah.
Kahi Kahiashvili did snatch 188 in 1999 in 94 weight class. Why we should have a new world records? So I believe that because of the selection process will be very tough, probably, it's my assumption, not everyone will survive to compete in Olympic Games, and most likely not all the strongest will step on the platform. And also, in the recent years, we didn't see North Korea because of political and doping scandals with this country. But I believe in this Olympic cycle, they will. Maybe I don't like this, but probably they will. And they so strong. They so strong and they so motivated because we discussed during the Asian game. They, if we will compare people from Singapore who always happy to be on the platform, when you see North Korea, they like weightlifting slaves and soldiers,
Yeah.
which is good. They look like real machines, but they don't look happy. And we understand when we see those people that this is for them, this is the way to survive. And that is why stakes and motivation is so high that they will do anything to get those medals, because for the North Korea, probably it will be a historical moment to be back in the Olympic Games. So they, speaking from all Asian countries, I believe that they will be even more motivated and targeted than even China. And this is what this will be what will differ upcoming Olympic Games from Paris and from Rio and from Tokyo as well.
Wow. And then you obviously commentate and watch all of the European champs, and you watch all the major competitions. After now seeing both, how does Europe stack up with Asia? And then obviously we can talk a bit more about specific countries, but how do you think that's all going to shake out? Do you think we're going to see kind of the same medal stand or podium where maybe you have someone from Team China, maybe you have someone from Carlos Estar, you have like these like cemented names, or are things going to mix up a little bit?
I'm sure that it will mix up, but from the tendency that we see now, that usually lighter weight classes are dominated by Asian people, heavier weight classes, just because of the anatomy and nation differences, will be dominated by Europeans. This is natural, but because if we will compare results in super heavyweight at the Europeans and at the Asians, it's earth and sky. So different. So and this is natural process, and I believe that because the selection process at Olympics related also a number of sports from the continent. As we know, we have stronger people in the lighter weight classes from Asia. The competition level for the Olympic spots will be in this region. And
Yeah.
I believe that my opinion and my assumption that in 2027 and 2026 we will see way higher results because it will be selection period that at the Olympics in LA.
Wow.
Yeah. It's my opinion, but we will see.
Yeah. And I don't know if people picked up on that, but I asked that question specifically because I wanted to transition into American weightlifting and talk about kind of the state of the USA and what they've been able to do over the last few years, but I might even say few quads to kind of get up to this point to where they just I mean the narrative is completely shifted. I mean, I remember getting into weightlifting more like 2014, 2015, 2016, and the narrative has changed so much from, America is this kind of second-rate weightlifting, it's second-rate weightlifting, never going to be able to compete internationally. And now it seems like that's flipped so much. So what's your kind of analysis of Team USA and how the team's grown and evolved and kept up with the challenges of international weightlifting, but now kind of a force to be reckoned with if you think about Hampton and Olivia, Colby Ferguson coming on the scene, Aaron Williams, guys like that.
Josh, as far as you are a science man and doing PhD, you don't need argumentation that analysis it's about numbers. And what I was told in university, if you want to see the development of sport in the few quads, in a few Olympic cycles, you need to do. You have to look now at youth teams. So if we will look at the protocols of youth worlds and junior worlds, I'm so happy that Team USA, first of all, capable to bring full team for men and women, and most of these people capable to win medals in snatch and clean and jerk and total. Last junior worlds from Mexico, you had few junior world champions, and it means that this is the result of systematic work of weightlifting community and federation. Because I remember when Phil Andrews put his thesis how he want to develop Olympic weightlifting when he only became a director, he didn't speak anything about the numbers of snatch and clean and jerk in particular weight class. He said that we want to make competition with absolute big number of participants. And if we know the laws of philosophy, quantity always will come to quality. And you can deny this. And I remember when in 2017 or 18, I was in Austin at the youth state championship in Texas, and it was 800 participants.
Wow.
I was like, I asked Steve Galvan, like 80. He said, no, 800, 800. So it was weekend, 4 platforms, and 800 kids. Of course, if you see this amount of people only in one state, you understand that somehow competition will find few talents. And then those talents will start to grow. And this is why United States had 2 medals. I believe that it's absolutely a reasonable result to get few medals from Olympic Games. Silver and bronze and no, silver Hampton was bronze.
Bronze, yeah.
Bronze and gold.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic result. And 5 participants. Very good.
Yeah. And based on what you just said, knowing that either the number of participants will be growing or the athletes who are competing at the youth and junior levels will be aging up and improving and developing, that means this probably isn't going to slow down. If you just track the trajectory of USA weightlifting and its development, it seems like it's moving in one direction and moving relatively swiftly to where it went from, the expectation would be 1 person or 2 people at an Olympic Games, and it might be like a 9th place finish to Olympic gold medalist, bronze medalist, and it's like, okay, what does that mean for the next Olympic Games, for the Los Angeles Games? Do you think it's same pace, same trajectory?
My opinion, and I'm with a big love with Ursula. I believe that USA Weightlifting Federation have a strong goal and target to give a good fight to Team China, and
Wow.
they have all these chances because Hampton capable to compete and win. Um, Olivia capable. Then you have a few more guys in 108 109 he will jump in 1010 and you have what is the name of the guy who did 220 jerk from rack recently? He was in 81 weight class or something.
Oh, Ryan Grimsley.
Yeah, so and he's young boy, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, to have of course it's a dream team or a dream situation to have 5 people in the team and give them and train them so well to make them win 5 medals. If it will happen, it will be very good, but I think this is the only chance to beat Team China, and Team China, I'm sure they will be strong as usually, and I want to see battle between USA and China.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's super exciting. And you know, as a scientist, I think, okay, so we know that we have 5 athletes from, call it 5 different coaches, and their training styles are probably pretty different. And you know, what's difference relative, but you know, they're not all training necessarily the same way. Um, what does that tell you about? So when you think about that, it's like, okay, we have 5 people who could be training pretty differently. I mean, Olivia would say train 3 days a week and
Yeah, yeah.
do this style of training. Hampton trains maybe 1,000 times a week,
Five.
trains a particular way. Ryan Grimslin, Colby Ferguson. It's like, okay, so we have different frequencies, different volume loads, different, average intensities. What does that tell you about what's required in weightlifting to be successful at the highest level when you think about who has been successful at the highest level on Team USA so far and how they're coached by completely different people in different, we'll call it different systems?
What I will tell you, speaking about this particular situation, because we don't have same system, we don't have a general training plan, but in my opinion, 2 factors that necessary in this case, speaking about all these people, I would put on the first place hard work and on the second place talent. Those people are definitely talented as far as they're already on top. And I am absolutely okay if person will train 3 times per week or 12 times per week as far as this person deliver result. Because no one says that it's easier to train 3 times per week than 10. It may be as hard as a big amount. Because when you look at Olivia Reeves and her squats, you're like, every man on this planet will do like this, and no one understand how she is doing that, but she is doing that, and I'm happy to see Olivia Reeves, for example, and Matty on the platform because they smile. They show us that weightlifting can be fun, not like people from North Korea, because they look all the time like all their relatives were executed as soon as they do no lift. Because the problem when we talk about the IVF approach to the competition and some athletes approach to the competition, they forget that people compete for spectators. And to make a show, to make a smile, to make a positive vibes, it's important because it's performance. When singer perform, he doesn't do it like this. Yes, he act with the people, and this is what I like so much. So speaking about the success, what are similar with all these people? They don't go to the training camp, which ruins a lot of theories that you can build result only staying everybody in the same training base, blah blah blah. They have own planning, but I believe all of them work hard because they're on the top. It's not like easy way or taken for granted, and all of them definitely good selected, but they selected not like I select Josh because I like him. No, they selected by the pressure of the competition because they were capable to compete on the national and international level and deliver result.
Yeah, I think there are two things I'd want to say, and you mentioned Sean Waxman earlier, so I'll bring him up again. He said something about how can you be a great strength coach if you haven't walked the walk, if you haven't trained hard. And I think it's easy to say, well, Olivia only trains 3 days a week. Training's always fucking hard. Like,
Yeah,
heavy bar on your back and sit down and stand up, put a heavy weight over your shoulders, like, or overhead or on your shoulders. It's always hard. So I think that idea of like, oh, well, you only train like this, therefore it's easier. It's like training's hard. Training's tough. To show up consistently, repeatedly, 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, and push yourself to the point of needing to physiologically adapt to it is tough. So
yeah,
like that argument that like, oh, well, you only do this, it's like, no, if you're doing enough to get better, even if it's only 3 days a week, it's still really challenging.
yeah.
So,
And it's not the question how painful are your muscles. It's not only this, because for someone it's difficult to endure the load, but for someone it's difficult to just set up yourself for this particular lift. Or
yeah.
for someone it's difficult to stay at home in the bed instead of going out with your friends to take a beer. It's also difficult because it's also a challenge. Because when you stay in training camp, you don't have this chance. Because if you will cross the border of training camp, you will go home. But if you live like a Hampton Morris,
Yeah.
it's your choice to do it or not. And I was lucky last year to go with Alex Tarachti to his home to do this mini camp. We stayed at his house where he and his father built this place for visitors. Absolutely insane stuff. And everything that he is doing is his routine that he is doing by his willing. His
Wow.
father never pushed him. He don't say like 9 o'clock, go to bed. He said, guys, thank you very much. You can sit and talk. It's time to me to go. And I respect it so much. That is why he is a great champ. And he will
Wow.
be even bigger, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I think so. I think the second thing, so you have that like those aspects of competing and training are hard. Just we accept that. The second thing is good coaches when something works, they keep doing it, or and they figure out how to like keep it working, right? So I think about what you mentioned. You mentioned two things: hard work and talent. Talent is you give them something and they respond favorably and they make progress, and it's like we're going to keep doing that. So good coaching is basically how do we find ways to keep progressing and keep making progress? And Olivia going from maybe 3 days a week to 4, Hampton going from, the way he used to train when he was column 12 to now.
Absolutely.
Colby clean and jerking just like astronomical weights at like 109, 110. It's like, they didn't get there by luck or by chance, but strategy of this works, let's keep doing it. This doesn't work, let's change it. And it's this process of trial and error. So I don't think it's this perfectly implemented system right away. I think it's like we start somewhere and we figure out how to make, and this is to quote Max Zeta, shout out to Max, make decisions that are less bad, right? We can make
Yeah,
decisions.
that's bad. Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's good coaching, right? That's good coaching with good talent. And that's working consistently, diligently, and hard and committing, as you mentioned with Hampton, committing as much of yourself to the process as you want to commit.
And
Right.
and what is important to know that even big athletes with big results and big victories, they struggle with a lot of things. And it's difficult for them because what I see with my eyes, with my, let's say, coaching eyes, I see that Hemp, with all my love and respect to him, honestly, he is progressing very good in clean and jerk, but he struggles so much in snatch.
Yeah.
And they trying a lot of strategies. They trying to help him to, because he has some problems with maintaining balance. He has problems with the power production. He struggles with the lockout. And
Yeah.
especially speaking about nowadays competition, it's terrible how jury killing athletes. for him it's difficult, and it's not always work, and mostly it doesn't work for him because he don't have such a good progress in snatch as he has in the clean and jerk, but he's still pushing himself and trying to find this very tiny path to go forward. So it's not like I'm a champion, okay, look at me. It doesn't work like this.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing we can kind of get caught up in, especially the highest levels, where every big lift is like, if you watch Hampton clean and jerk, you're like, every big lift is impressive, but you don't realize it's like, but we want that extra kilo or 2 kilos or few kilos that are going to put you on the next step of the podium, right? Take you to second, take you to first. So it's all of that work to kind of make adjustments so that like the routine, 125 kilo snatch, 129 is 132, 134, 136.
Right. He said that his dream to snatch 138, and he dreams so much to be able to snatch 140 plus. And when he said this, I see that his eyes start to shine. And this is his dream to snatch 140 plus.
Yeah.
Because it's hard for him.
Yeah.
And when we met with him in November, his father said that, okay, our target, we're coming closer and closer to double 175 in clean and jerk. And since this November, he attempted it few times, no success. And only, I believe, 2 or 3 weeks ago, he finally did it.
Yeah.
So it was like November, December,
wow.
and 8 months of work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's insanity. I mean, I say it's insanity, but it's more so like it's so freaking impressive. Like to put that into context, like Hampton at his body weight, I mean, not even at his body weight, to clean and jerk double 175 is like freakish, but then to do that at different body weights makes it even more impressive. But so this is more so a curiosity for me as we kind of round out the show. We talked a lot about a lot. We talked about the state of weightlifting. We talked about incorporating it in say more of a common setting with the young athletes. We talked about where Asia is at, where Europe's at, where the USA is at. And then I want to talk about your kind of like involvement with weightlifting and continued involvement, your continued, passion and interest in it. What's kept you going? Because I mean, when I think about, what you do in terms of coaching and writing, training programs and having your hand in, the commentary bucket and the competition bucket. And it seems like weightlifting is your life,
Yes.
How have you continued to enjoy it for what it is, but also be so immersed in it and so involved in it?
I always say to my girlfriend that most in my life I like 2 things: barbell and guitar, and then everyone else. What can I say? I was born like this. Honestly, I feel that Olympic weightlifting, not even strength training, Olympic weightlifting is my meditation. Because when I go to the gym, I love 2 things: super long warm up, and it helped me not only warm up in the regular sense, it helped me to feel myself. Because sometimes I pay more attention to my hips, sometimes to my core, sometimes to shoulders, but I'm absolutely fine to do general warm up, like 20-30 minutes easy. And then the thing that I like in Olympic weightlifting, it helped me to feel my body moving properly. Because when you do something isolated, or even when you do deadlifts or squats, it doesn't let me feel the feeling of combination of static work, dynamic work, and ability to relax, which you can get easily performing or snatch or clean and jerk. And when bar continuously became heavier and started to be a bit heavier than my body weight, then I feel that I'm happy. Because I'm 43 years old this year, I don't have a goal like I need to do clean and jerk 150, because if I will not do it, earth will stop. No, I do wherever makes me happy and feel comfortable. And for me, comfortable to feel that bar is heavy for me, but I'm I still can be boss with the bar, not the bar be the boss. It's the first thing. The second thing, I believe that in my brain I am a professional teacher, educator, and coach. So I am happy to share my experience with people. I never interrupt anyone who doesn't need my help. But if people said, "Teach me" or "Help," this is what makes me happy from the perspective of the, let's say, fitness and Olympic weightlifting. Because what I was told in university when we study theory of physical education, our professor always told us that you as a teacher, you must follow three main goals when you work with the people. You must give them health, you must give them education, and you must make them better people. And I believe in this honestly from my heart 100%. That is why when I do my work, sometimes I tell people that there is no goal to follow any kilos. There is a goal to become better and to feel better. Because, when we started to do Olympic weightlifting seminars with Alexei Tarakhti, first was in calf strength in California. And one of the first guy that we communicated when we started the seminar, we said, "Why are you here?" And he said, "I love Olympic weightlifting so much, but I did training, but then I did my first surgery on one shoulder, then I did second surgery on the neck, on the second shoulder, and then I thought maybe I'm doing something wrong." And after this, it clicked in my mind, like when you do Olympic weightlifting for fun and for health, and you pay for that to the facility or to the coach, you must feel yourself good and happy. It's okay to feel sore. It's okay to feel tired. But overall, and I believe that this is the one of the important tasks that we as a coaches must tell people if they don't have destiny as a people from North Korea.
Yeah, no, I love that. And, it makes me think about, the many professionals I've talked to, but also like the approach that I take, which is what we do is really special, physical coaching, like athletic or like performance coaching or fitness coaching is really special because you are directly doing that. You're directly changing someone's physical health in ways that are going to impact them far beyond what they can actually, beyond what I can even actually understand half the time, which is, you put on a lot of good size, good muscle, there's all the bone density changes and all the other changes we could go on about, but realistically, you just are more capable, like more physically fit and capable. And then also that second point of how do you help develop people into just good people in general. I think that's one I actually come into contact with that idea pretty often, where coaches and professionals say that, like, and I think sometimes it's easy to see professions as professions and not so much as like what they are beyond that. So you think of coaching, or you think of sport, and you think of physical education, but you don't think of everything besides that, which is everything besides weightlifting, which is we're going to teach you to snatch and clean and jerk. But in between sets, maybe we talk about if you're in school, like how are your grades? How have you been able to stay up on your homework? Like, what do you struggle with? What are you working on? And it's like ways of being able to impact or impart some change outside of just the sets and reps that are prescribed, which are also really beneficial.
Of course. I like to tell the story about the Olympic weightlifting life lesson, especially for people who start to compete. I said, okay, you can do hard work for weeks when you're amateur athlete, and then you step on the platform and you have 3 attempts. Well, let's say you do first attempt, then you don't do the second attempt, and it's PT. You understand you made the mistakes. You have you made a mistake, and that is why you fail. Yes, you can. You have a chance to sit down, started to cry, and to say that life is unfair, and so on and so on. But you can get your shit together, focus, and go and win. And same happens in your life. most people will have the second chance in life. And now it's only your choice, or to start to cry, or to go and become a better person and deliver the result. Because in professional sport, you don't have this chance.
Yeah.
Sometimes I remember this from my experience when coach told me, like, imagine I'm telling you, and I feel like when I have the last attempt in clean and jerk, and coach give you situation, we need to go to kilo up to your PR. If you will do this, maybe you will be the third. If you will not do this, we will be ninth. We need to make decision. 14 seconds left, because I need to put the weight in the protocol. And you like, and you feel that your heart rate is like this, but you have to make decision. And after you made this decision, you need to go on the platform now and lift the weight you never tried. And this is the things that you should be ready. And when you have this experience in your life during the competition, later on, everything what will happen in the real life, you already have the skill to not to be panic, make decision, be strong in that, and move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love
I
that.
love that so much. And I
Yeah.
explain this to athletes every time, like, but because, I don't like idea to try PRs a lot of time. So usually, even in coaching community, when you approach PR, it's reasonable to do 3 attempts, not to just make athletes injured, and 3 attempts because it's 3 attempts. But sometimes when I coach my lifters and they ask me, can I go more? I said, yes, but we will have only 1 attempt, only 1. And we make a decision now. If you will fail, you will fail for today. It will be your regret. And this changed completely even setup of most lifters, because they know that it's only 1 chance and you need to deliver result now.
Yeah.
And this is very good for from the educational purposes.
Yeah. And as a coach, I mean, even hearing you say that, I have a handful of people competing actually tomorrow at a competition, a weightlifting meet. And I was just thinking about, I was visualizing and imagining myself telling someone, hey, your PR, we're putting your PR on the bar. This is your 3rd attempt. That as a coach is when you relinquish control. When you write it on the sheet and you put 91 kilos, 3rd attempt clean and jerk, and it's something you worked for years, and you say, okay, as a coach, that's all I can do. I'd like to rub their shoulders and their traps and give them a smack and say the most meaningful, impactful words I could ever come up with. But in reality, as soon as you put that change in, it's out of your control. The athlete goes up, and then you just sit and you watch and you wait to see how it unfolds. And that's, I get like a little like,
I feel you, man. I feel you.
I get a little excited thinking about it, and that's why coaching to me is so much fun. It's like, I know we've trained for it. I know you can do it. You know you can do it. But it's not as simple as knowing. There's the act of doing. There's the act of putting the sword or putting the iron to the grindstone, so to speak, and going up and ripping on the bar and letting.
And it's it's nice for coaches when they grow as the professional to transfer from the things that I'm as a coach. I know that he is ready, but it's so difficult to make him believe that he is ready, and then to make him deliver this result. Because when you have some coaching experience, you see he did good reserve in back squats, he did a good pulls, he did 90% for doubles. So just statistically, you understand that he is ready. But this person, he can be just, coach, I'm gonna die. Under.
Yeah. Well, and I think, to be honest, and then when you coach a long time, that works the opposite way too. You're like, all these lifts have been down. You haven't looked very great. Your training's been pretty inconsistent, and you show up and you pull it out of your ass, so to speak. And it's like, where the fuck did that come from? Like, how were you able to muster that? But that, when you put someone in I call it a high pressure situation, but it's like, when in a situation where it actually matters and you get all the excitement and the energy and the nerves, and you have a crowd of people, and you have the formalities of like going in the warm-up room, coming out, putting in attempts. Okay, your name's been called. You have a clock running. It's like, people can change. I'm one of those people. I can lift like complete dog shit for months, and go out on a competition platform and do something I never thought I could do. And a lot of that is I can manifest that energy into bigger lifts. I can turn it on. So I really love that about coaching, that slight unpredictability of statistically you should or should not be able to do it.
Yeah.
But we need to put it on the bar because this qualifies you for nationals. This is going to put you on the podium. Yeah, that's really exciting. That got me excited to coach. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Tomorrow you will have a nice day.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one. It's going to be, the coaching routine, get a coffee, get there a little early, walk around the warm-up room, talk to the athletes.
Will be in your city in West Virginia?
So it's in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So it's kind of close.
Yeah.
Do you know Tom Dewar? Tom Dewar?
Maybe.
Okay, so it's his gym. It's called Pittsburgh Fitness Project.
Okay.
And he's big in the weightlifting scene.
Yeah, probably I heard, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. And then Sergei, this has been a fantastic conversation. Just a nice ton of fun talking weightlifting and talking, athlete development and everything in between. And like I said, you're so in weightlifting, you're so in, sport, and that's kind of where you live really professionally. If people are interested in listening to the commentary that you do, running some of the programs that you write or something along those lines, where can they go to find it?
You are very welcome to join my Instagram. It's called Putsoff with double F. Also, please visit website tarahti.com, where I, with my buddy Alex, produce and design training programs. Hopefully, we will do commentary with Seb together at Worlds. And I'm planning, before this, I'm planning to be at Master Worlds in Las Vegas in September, because a few of my young athletes will compete there. And we are working on that right now. So, and people who know, they know that wherever people ask me to ask for my help through social media, I am always welcome to new contacts. And I'm glad to help, because I believe our goal as a coach is to make weightlifting better.
Awesome. I love it. I would implore people to go check out those links. Doubly implore people to go check out Tarahti, check out Warm Body Cold Mind, check out Weightlifting House. Yeah, support the crew. If people are interested in keeping up with me, you can follow me at Josh_Phil WL. That's PHILWL on Instagram. Philosophical Weightlifting everywhere else. And we will catch you all next week on another episode of the podcast.
Thank you.